Hi everyone, welcome to this Western Culture and Tradition. Anthony here. So today I'm going to be looking at this, The Living Wisdom of Trees, a guide to the natural history, symbolism and healing power of trees, and it's by Watkins Publishing. So all the information I give you today is from this book, not from me. However, let's look at the oak tree. Now, the oak tree is this idea of the symbol of the druid, the symbol of paganism, the symbol of the sacred tree before Christianity. Now, if you're unaware, basically, in ancient days in the West, before we could build big cathedrals and monasteries and all of that type of thing, people used to, like Japan, and Shintoism, people tended to worship big rocks, trees, natural phenomenon, thunder, the sky, the earth. Do you know what I mean? Because that was what was around them. So it's thought that everybody used to worship the oak tree. Now, I'm not saying they didn't, they did. However, what this gentleman says, the author of this book, is saying that actually there might be an issue with translation. So because of that, we think that people worship the oak more than they did, even though in some sects they did. But he said it's a little bit more complicated. So for example, I read the word however and was trying to say for example at the same time. Okay, however, over the last few centuries, the significance of the oak in ancient cult practices has been vastly overemphasized. In the Middle Ages, European translators of foreign manuscripts tended to call every significant tree an oak, just as every red fruit to them was called apple. So basically what they used to do is come across a tree and just write their word for oak. Their word for apple was red berry, so apple. So, for example, in the Garden of Eden, he says it's probably not an apple, it's a red berry, because apple was replaced the word red berry. So, and apparently he says there's not even apple trees there in the Middle East where they were saying. So anyway, that's by the side. Thus, the oaks mentioned in the Bible have to be read not as oaks, but as sacred trees. Although there are sweet acorns of the live oak, blah blah blah, so they're a diet in ancient so basically these acorns are a diet in ancient Greece, and we hear that the acorns are actually the fruit of Zeus, because of course Zeus is the sky father, which does get crossed over with lightning. And he says here that oaks have a tendency to be struck by lightning more than normal trees. I don't know how true that is, but that is what his research has pointed to. So the idea that people have noticed over the time that oaks get struck by lightning, Zeus is in the sky, Zeus also uses lightning. For us it would be Thor and people like that, and therefore lightning is connected to warriors and Thor and gods, and the trees connected to the gods, and the acorns are part of the gods. However, he's saying that that's only one sect, that's only one thing. So he goes on to say here that, now excuse me, I'm not very good with the languages. He says Roman writers often confused Dryas with D-R-Y-S, the Greek word for oak, with drus, D-R-U-S, meaning sacred tree. So the closeness of these words hints at a possible prehistoric connection between oak and the divinities. So what he's saying is basically this. So he's saying, right, everyone, we all think of the druids and the golden sickle and the oaks and cutting mistletoe from oaks. And he says that actually comes from, I think, Pliny the Elder. Now, what he's saying is that might be true. Oaks are definitely sacred. We know that they're sacred trees. But let's not forget that oak was used as a byword for tree, and also like the word red berry was used as a byword for apple, and that's it. So and also there might be a confusion with one word that sounds like the old word for oak, and another word that means sacred tree that may have been separate. So what does this mean for us here studying Western traditions? Basically, it's this. When you see an oak tree, you have to think that has a connection to lightning, the god of thunder, the god of lightning there. It's like this idea of the strong, stalwart warrior, and it used to be worshipped all over Europe. However, there are other trees that are worshipped for different reasons. So, for example, the yew tree is worshipped for death, and I'll talk about that later. So when you are going about your daily business, what you should do is learn to find what an oak tree looks like. Their leaves are very, sorry, I would have gotten a leaf for you, but the leaves are very distinctive, and you can see, just look up oak leaf and learn to understand what they look like, and then consider that in ancient times, these gigantic oaks that are grown to phenomenal sort of sizes would probably be worshipped. And there's an old story of a Christian saint, it was, who came along and destroyed the oak tree, and with calling down lightning from God, you know, Jesus Christ and God, and destroyed it, and Christianity defeated the old ways. That's one of the stories. But remember, guys, for you on this channel, I'm trying to simplify everything. So all you have to do is just remember, oaks are sacred, but they're not the only sacred tree, and different trees have different properties. So there you go. Go and find yourself an oak. Go and have a picnic under an oak tree and enjoy yourself.